company in which it had warranted that the cigars were insurable and also guaranteed that it would insure them against fire without defining what is considered to be unacceptable fire. There was no exclusion clause. When you insured an object which is intended to be consumed by fire, if you had no reserved a disclaimer or exclusion clause, under the law of contracts you become obliged to make payment. This is what the judge started opining. Then, rather than enduring a lengthy and costly appeal process, the insurance company accepted the ruling and paid $15,000 to the lawyer for his loss of cigarettes that perished in the fires. But what happened next was the best part of it. He got the money, walked out of court. Immediately, he was arrested by the federal police on a complaint given by the insurance company that he deliberately set fire to the objects which were insured. Therefore, the criminal court convicted him of arson and setting fire to an object which had been insured, and he was not only sent to prison, $24,000 was imposed on him by way of fine. Both things would certainly not have happened in our country. Therefore, I am not suggesting, when I say that, when I talked about the American Bar Association's, the American Bar Association Science and Technology Law section, which is giving a great deal of assistance to the courts, we should also keep in mind the limitations, and then we will have to choose what suits our system. Another area in which knowledge is growing exponentially today is the field of neuroscience. In fact, you will be very surprised to know there are cases and cases where, as lay people, you would only know that some witnesses speak the truth, some witnesses lie. That's all you know. But there is something more to these two simple sentences. This witness spoke a lie. This witness spoke the truth. These are two simple sentences. But if you go to a neuroscientist, he will tell you that these two sentences do not carry the exact truth about what you wanted to say. In one of the seminars, a neuroscientist asked a very interesting question. I don't know how many of you have vehicles. He said, whatever vehicle we have, many times we tend to forget where we kept our car key or scooter key. But we do not forget how to drive. Then this neuroscientist came up with a theory called the human brain has got a completely different methodology by which first it captures information, then it stores it, then it retrieves it. There are three stages. They call it long-term memory or short-term memory. They classify it in different processes. The neuroscientists say that a human brain is capable of creating a memory illusion. Sometimes you may come to believe that this is the truth. And you may honestly say that in court. You may not be a liar at all. But yet you would say what you believe as the truth because of this memory illusion, despite the fact that it may not be the truth. In which case, what is the position of a judge? What is the role that could be played by a neuroscientist? These are some of the interesting things I hope all of you will